Obviously, sweetie. It's compulsory, Jimin replied. That girl's heart fluttered listening to the word sweetie. Yoongi glared at Jimin, feeling jealous. He also don't know why, but he felt jealous. Jimin looked at Yoongi and saw him glaring. He smirked, seeing Yoongi being jealous. I'm going, sensei, and everyone have to come. It's compulsory. That student said he went from there. So students, as you've listened, it's compulsory, Yoongi said. Yes, sensei, everyone replied. So you've to come, Yoongi said. Okay, sensei, everyone spoke together. So do come on day after tomorrow, Yoongi said. At what time we have to leave, sensei? Class president asked. I'll ask principal and then I'll tell you guys, Yoongi replied. Okay, sensei, class's president said. Let's focus now, Yoongi uttered. He turned toward the board and starts to teach. Note, Yoongi teach Korean and maths. He was teaching maths while Jimin was busy in his own thoughts. He turned around and saw Jimin busy in thinking something. Kim, Jimin, Yoongi called him out. But as Jimin was busy thinking, he didn't listen to Yoongi. Kim, Jimin, I'm talking to you, Yoongi uttered. Jimin again didn't spoke anything. Mr. Kim, Jimin, Yoongi yelled. Jimin flinched badly and came out of his thought. He stood up and said, Emmy sensei, Jimin asked while pointing at himself. Yes, you. Where are you lost? Yoongi asked. Nowhere, sensei, Jimin uttered. All right. Then tell me the general form of roles theorem, Yoongi questioned. The square of hypotenuse is equal to the sum of individual squares of base and height, Jimin replied. Yoongi raised his eyebrow. While whole class was trying to control their laugh, come in front, Yoongi said sternly. Maybe he is chill with Jimin, but not in the case of study. Jimin scaredly got up and went in front. Repeat the general form of roles theorem, Yoongi said coldly. Jimin gulped, listening to Yoongi's cold voice, and said, The square of hypotenuse is equal to the sum of individual squares of base and height, Jimin spoke scaredly. Mingyu, class's president, Yoongi called out Mingyu. Mingyu stood up from his seat and said, Yes, sensei, Mingyu spoke. Tell me the general form of roles theorem, Yoongi ordered. Let F, A, B gives or be continuous on A. B and differentiable on A, B such that if A equals FB, where A and B are some real numbers, Mingyu replied. Exactly, let F, A, B gives or be continuous on A. B and differentiable on A, B such that if A equals FB, where A and B are some real numbers, Yoongi spoke. And what did Mr. Kim, Jimin said, Mingyu? Yoongi asked. The square of hypotenuse is equal to the sum of individual squares of base and height, Mingyu replied. This is the definition of which theorem? Yoongi asked. Pythagoras' theorem, sensei, Mingyu replied. And in which class you guys studied it? Yoongi again asked. In 9th, sensei, Mingyu replied.
Exactly, and Mr. Jimin remember 9th class books but don't remember what I taught just now a minute ago, Yoongi uttered coldly.
Jimin looked down, feeling ashamed of himself. Mingyu, go to my cabin and bring cane from my drawer, Yoongi said coldly. But sensei, Mingyu said. I said go and bring cane, Yoongi yelled furiously.
Everyone flinched badly and Minju went to Yoongi's cabin. Till now Jimin have only seen chill Yoongi, but today he saw furious one.
So he is a little scared. He also knows it's his fault. Sensei. I'm sorry, Jimin said in a low voice. Yoongi didn't reply.
Maybe he is chill and sweet with Jimin, but he won't bear anything in the case of studies. After some time, Minju came back and handed cane to Yoongi.
Why you didn't concentrate? Yoongi asked coldly. I'm sorry, Sensei, Jimin spoke.
This is not the answer of my question, Mr. Kim. Jimin Yoongi spoke coldly. Jimin didn't reply. Go to the board and stand there, face everyone's back, Yoongi said coldly. Jimin didn't argue and went to the board while his back was facing everyone.
Hands should be in air, Yoongi uttered coldly. Jimin put his hands up and starts to cry silently. He understands it's his fault, but he never got punished before. Even his brothers never punished him, that's why he is crying.
Yoongi stood beside Jimin near his dice and said, Class, I'm telling you, I want you all to student properly, Yoongi uttered coldly.
I won't bear if anyone won't study, Yoongi spoke again. Suddenly he heard Jimin sniff. He picked his cane and smacked Jimin on his back. Jimin yelled from the pain. Stop crying, Yoongi uttered coldly. Jimin didn't said anything. Wipe your tears, kid. You know it's your fault, Yoongi said coldly. Jimin harshly wiped his tears, but it replaced with new ones.
Yoongi sighed, seeing Jimin isn't calming. Kim, Jimin, I said stop crying, Yoongi spoke, but this time a little softly.
But situation wasn't helping Jimin. He can't stop himself. Yoongi sighed and held his wrist. Whatever I taught, I'll ask tomorrow, Yoongi said. He went out of the class while dragging Jimin with himself. He came to his cabin and made Jimin sit on the chair. But Jimin hissed and got up. Yoongi felt guilty for hitting Jimin this hardly. Kid, stop crying, Yoongi spoke sweetly. Jimin didn't said anything. At least try to sit, Yoongi said. Each heard Jimin spoke while crying. Yoongi sighed and poured water in glass and gave it to Jimin. Here, drink it, Yoongi said and made Jimin drink some water. Now stop crying. You also know it was your fault, right? Yoongi Jimin slowly nodded his head. He wasn't crying much by now. I would never get angry, Jimin. But you know I teach you after school as well. I also have a life. I also have other works, but still I take out time and teach you, Yoongi retorted. Jimin was feeling so much guilty by now. It was true, and Yoongi is making efforts on him. I teach you after school, so I expect good result from you. But you don't even remember what I taught you a minute ago. It's really disappointing for me, kid, Yoongi said. I'm sorry, Sensei. I promise to study properly, Jimin said. I know you'll from now onwards, and don't mind me getting angry, Yoongi said.
No, Sensei. It's your right to get angry. You teach me extra and I still disappoint you. I'm at fault. I'm sorry, Jimin said.
It's all right, kid. Did it hurt much? Yoongi asked. What? Jimin spoke. I hit you with cane. Does it still hurts? Yoongi asked. It's all right, Sensei. It's just no one ever beat me before. That's why I was crying, Jimin said.
Your brothers never punished you? Yoongi inquired. No, because I used to study in Mexico and my brothers live in Korea, Jimin stated.
Oh, okay, Kay. Should I apply ointment? Yoongi asked while smirking. Yeah, Sensei. I'm your student. Feel a little shame, Jimin spoke. Jimin went out of the cabin while pouting angry. Yoongi laughed out and said, at least he laughed, Yoongi spoke. Meanwhile, with Jimin, he went to his class, took his bag and went back to his home. He don't want to face anyone right now, that's why he went. Time skips at home. Jimin came to the home. I'm home, Hyung's Jimin uttered. You came back this early, Minnie. Jungkook is skitty JK. Tai and Hoon have off from university. Yes, Hyung, actually Jimin said it told the whole incident to them. Does it still hurts, Minnie? Young Hoon asked. It's all right now, Hyung, Jimin spoke softly. Jimin, you know it's too bad, Jungkook spoke sternly. I know, Hyunmi, but I promise to study properly now, Jimin said, while pouting. Fine, just this time, I'm letting this slide. Next time I'll tell Hoseok, Hyung, Jungkook said. No, please don't tell him, Jimin said. I won't, but if you did this again, I'll tell him, Jungkook said. I promise, I won't do it again, Jimin said.
Note: Hoseok is the one who is strict with Jimin and behave like his dad. Alright, now go and take rest, Jungkook said.
Okay, Hyunmi, Jimin said, got up and went to his room. Meanwhile in school, Yoongi came to the class for Korean class, but he didn't saw Jimin.
Where is Jimin, class? Yoongi asked. He went back to the home, sensei, president said. He must be embarrassed of what happened earlier, Yoongi thought.
Alright, and class, no one will discuss about what happened today. I don't want you all to say that I punished Jimin and he cried when he will come yesterday. Am I clear? Yoongi said. Okay, sensei, everyone spoke together good. Now let's study, Yoongi said, then starts to teach everyone. To be continue, I'm out of ideas. If you have any, then share.